In the previous video, we've seen how we can adjust the file key with a relatively simple plugin, which is registered within our backend GraphQL API, or more specifically within the API project application. But with that, there's also one other feature that's certainly worth mentioning, and those are file aliases, which essentially enables us to not only adjust the file key, but the full file URL. For example, let's open this file here, and via the aliases field, let's define the following alias. Let's save our changes. And just like that, we can now access our file via a new, much simpler URL. To see it in action, let's quickly open the file details again, copy the default file URL and paste it into a new tab in our browser. Before hitting enter, let's replace this part here with simply abc.png. And now when I press enter, sure enough we can see that we've got the image, but of course this time via a much simpler URL. Pretty cool, right? Of course, this can be done for all types of files, and what's even better, a single file can have multiple aliases if required. We can assign these aliases manually like we just did, but also aliases can be assigned programmatically upon uploading a file. This is especially useful when dealing with a large number of files, where manually assigning aliases can become daunting pretty quick. So let's see how we can achieve this. Whenever we're talking about performing some action before or after a certain event in the system, for example before a file is about to be created or after a file has been deleted, we're talking about lifecycle events. In other words, Webany has a bunch of these lifecycle events onto which developers can hook onto, which, as we'll soon see, are also easily discoverable directly in the code. For now, let's just start by creating our extension. As usual, let's run Webany scaffold in our terminal, and as always, choose new extension from the list of all available scaffolds. Let's select API extension as the type. For the extension name, let's type file aliases. And now for the extension location, let's type extensions/file manager/API/file aliases. For the package name, we can go with the default one. And finally, for this extension, we'll need the Webany API serverless CMS package, so we'll pass it as a dependency. So as usual, first we'll navigate to our index.ts file located in file aliases/src folder, and in here we're gonna be pasting some code. Let's do that and unpack what we got. As we can see, we're using the create context plugin factory function to create a new so-called context plugin. The context plugin is something that's often used when doing backend customizations, simply because of the fact that via this context object, we get to access a bunch of different functionalities that we might need, not just related to the file manager application, but also other applications like headless CMS and page builder. As we can see, the moment we start typing context dot, in the autocomplete we get to see everything that's available. We've already mentioned that lifecycle events are easily discoverable in the code, so in here if we just start typing context.filemanager.on, we can see all of the different events that are available. But back to our extension here. As we can see, what we're doing here is every time before a file is about to be created, via the file.aliases property, we are setting a custom alias for the file. So apart from its default URL, every file that we upload will also be available via this myfiles/file.name alias. Pretty nice, right? So let's save our changes now. As we can again see, our changes have been compiled and are being deployed into the cloud. Now that the deployment has been completed, let's again test our changes by uploading the same file in the file manager. Alright, our file has been uploaded, and again if we open the file details, here we can see that the alias has been automatically assigned, which means our plugin is working correctly. Great, now we don't need to worry about assigning aliases manually. Every file that gets uploaded will automatically have an alias already set.